I think that on top of the money they've invested to implement this tool and to use them, there is something we see a lot is the habit of using these tools. For some people using these tools, it's kind of natural, tapping on the POS, managing some menus, etc., etc. So for us, it's really important that these kind of stays kind of the same. But on the side, there is this very powerful tool that helps them better manage, better understand, and better operate their business.
Hello, Future Foodcast enthusiasts. We are so glad you've joined us for this episode of our podcast. I'm Pam Lienmiller, your host for today, and I am very excited to have with me Andrea Tassistro. He is the founder of Foodetective, a really cool, new, innovative company. Welcome to the podcast, Andrea.
Thank you very much, Pam. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you with us. Well, first of all, you have a really cool concept that you're working on. I want to dig into that. But before that, how did you even get started in the food space?
Well, I think we have to go back to university. I was studying in London, and while I was doing my bachelor degree, I started working at a restaurant called Tommy's Burgers Joint. And this is where it kind of all started. Foodetective kind of started in the back of my mind, to be honest with you, when I started to realize the fragmentation, of all the systems that restaurants have and have to manage on a daily basis. And it just kept on going. I then eventually ended up founding a similar business and another restaurant, which led me then to create Foodetective.
Very cool. It's often that you see a need or a problem. And in this case, you saw all these different pieces of the restaurant industry. So tell us a little bit about the Foodetective platform.
So the Foodetective platform aims at solving one major problem, which is the fact that restaurants usually have various different tools, apps, system to manage on a daily basis. If we take the POS system, the delivery, the booking, the social media, HR, payroll, stock, etc., etc., you all have like a sort of very good tools that are not communicating with each other, which leads each restaurant with a very complicated and decentralized kind of way of operating its business. What we do as a platform is that we enable restaurants to integrate all these tools very easily into Foodetective, and by providing this unique interface to restaurants, we can also automate all of their tasks by connecting all these tools together. So just to give you an example, when you accept an order coming from DoorDash, for example, it's going to print a ticket automatically in the kitchen. It's going to put that amount of money directly into your accounting system, so you don't have to do the accounting, etc., etc. And we try to automate the entire value chain for restaurants on a single tool.
Well, if anyone has ever worked in a restaurant, my parents actually owned a restaurant for a while. It is intense. And part of what makes it so difficult is exactly what you're talking about, because you have to traditionally manually figure out, okay, we've had this many meals go out the door of this type. So that means our inventory is down by this much, and our receivables should be over here this much, very manual. But what I'm hearing you say is that you are looking to get all that data and automate all that you can to take the human error out of it.
Exactly. The intelligent manager of every restaurant that registers on Foodetective, where we'll be also not only simplifying their lives through this platform, but also providing intelligence, notifications, actions for them to improve their operation, their pricing, their HR, their stocks, etc., etc.
So they can know, if their inventory is getting to certain levels where they know they need to reorder, then Foodetective can automatically notify them of that. They're not going to have to manually figure that out.
Exactly. And we can go even further than this. Foodetective, if you give the allowance to Foodetective to do it, Food Detective can also reorder the missing products directly to the wholesaler because we are also connected to your wholesaler.
Okay.
So we can push a notification to your wholesaler saying, hey man, I'm out of buns for my burger. And the day after, you don't even have to manually entry that you have these missing items, and they're automatically coming back to you because the wholesaler got a notification.
Right. And I love that, because there are so many other things to do other than, have to manually figure out when to reorder and how much to reorder and then actually do that. And it has been very manual. So that's a great service. Now, you have how many different, I guess, separate verticals or separate kind of apps within the Food Detective? It's big.
It is because if we want to combine the entire value chain under a single roof and manage all this operation, we had to basically work on every vertical. And today we have 20 that are separated in 4 different kind of mother verticals that are operations, management, marketing, and back of house. So basically all of these together, in each one of these you have, let's say, order management, review management, content and ads, you have stock and operations, and these kind of things are 20 different products that we offer today at Food Detective.
Wow. Now that's a lot. So how does a location or a potential client of yours decide where to start? Does everybody kind of start with a similar thing, or how do you decide that?
They usually tell us what their problem is. We act like a generalist, like a doctor. So they come to us and they say, okay, we have a problem managing all our orders. And so what we're going to do for them is set up an order management tool, which is one of our products. And if needed, we are going to add an integration to that with a special tool that is done for that. And this way we start solving the specific problem of the restaurant. And this is just the entry point, because then we usually see that there is more and more and more that we can solve, not only through our tool, but through our partners' integrations.
Well, and I really like that approach, Andrea, because it's hard to wholesale throw out what you're currently doing and change to a whole different thing. So your approach of being more modular about it, I'll say, where you're starting with maybe one module within a vertical where they're having trouble, and then, or maybe 2 to help with that process, they can see great results. And then they'll be more interested in, because you have a lot of other modules, up to 20 so far, I'm sure you're going to add on, that they can then expand to. Is that what you've seen happen, where they start with 1 or 2 and then they start expanding?
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it right. I think it's very important that people don't see us as a replacement of their existing tool, but more as a glue between all their existing tools. We don't want to replace the existing tools, which are a great solution. We just want to be the aggregator. We want to be the interface that enables this tool to work together seamlessly.
Okay, so if they already have a system they really like that gathers data, or for example, is keeping track of inventory, they can just feed you the information and then you can act on that. You're going to be making those, you were talking about those intelligent decisions about when it's time to reorder and making that communication, and you can do that piece. You're not going to throw out what they've already invested in.
Exactly.
That's a great solution, because it's much harder for a restaurant or a hotel that's got food and beverage or whatever, whoever your client might be. I know you have a lot of different kinds of clients, and to think about, well, we've already invested so much money in what we have. We really don't want to just wholesale switch over, but you could just sit on top of what they already have and be that integrator that you were talking about, that intelligent arm of it.
Exactly. And I think that on top of the money they've invested to implement this tool and to use them, there is something we see a lot, is the habit of using these tools. For some people, using these tools, it's kind of natural, tapping on the POS, managing some menus, etc., etc. So for us, it's really important that these kind of stays kind of the same, but on the side, there is this very powerful tool that helps them better manage, better understand, and better operate their business.
Right. So more on the back end, you were saying, I mean, that's one of the verticals. You've got kind of that back of house where some decision making needs to happen. If you're a restaurant, you're not necessarily dealing directly with the customer, but you're making some decisions about how your business is going to run and how you're going to do things. And you can really help a lot with some of those functions. So that's really the one overlaying system. But you've got another part to your offering to your clients where you talked about like a restaurant listing or where they can actually be promoted on your platform somehow.
Exactly, yes. So that's what we call the visibility piece. What we do is something very similar to what we do for restaurant. We do it for users. If you think that there are so many different tools that you have to use to book a table, to order food, to request a catering, to pay a bill, to QR code a table, etc., what we do on the front end is that based on the tools that restaurants use and want to integrate on Foodetective business, we automatically create a profile to each registered restaurant that showcases all its information. So you have its name, its logo, its pictures, and then you have also all the tags, all the contact information. And most importantly, you have all the partners to interact with this restaurant from a single page. Meaning that if tomorrow you go to the burger next door, which is registered on Foodetective, who uses Uber, DoorDash, Postmates, OpenTable, The Fork, TripAdvisor, Instagram, and Facebook, you'll be able to have all this information on a single URL, which is its page on Foodetective. And so you don't have to go and navigate and check the reviews on different pages and the delivery, etc. You simply have to go there and we will redirect you to the right partner based on what you decided and what you wanted to do with.
Wow. Now, so I didn't realize there was a piece. I mean, you're promoting the restaurant really on your platform, but I, as a user of Foodetective, from my perspective, I can go look at the different restaurants that are on your platform. Not only that, if I decide on one, then I'm going to be able to look at essentially you're gathering all of the information that's available about that restaurant from these other places. I don't have to go to all these other places or have all these other apps on my phone.
Yeah, you
Wow.
download the Foodetective app or you go on the Foodetective website, and all the restaurants which are registered with us have this profile showcasing all their partners, all their tools, all their information in there. And so it's kind of also a single source of truth for users as well that usually restaurant promote. We see it kind of a bit differently. See the restaurant using this platform to promote its business, is going to spend ads on this URL, on this page, increase its visibility, get more orders, get more bookings, get more clients to come in. Its conversion is going to be much higher on the ads it's going to do because every customer, every user will find a way to interact with him, either directly through the buttons that we set up for him or through the partner he uses for payment, for bookings, for catering, privatization, and so on.
Well, that sounds like a great central place. If I'm a restaurant owner or a franchisee of multiple restaurants, a great way for me to kind of that business to consumer end of it to promote myself, where I can be like a one-stop shop. I don't have to worry about all these relationships. I can keep that Foodetective profile robust, and that's going to take care of itself. Now, what about the consumer? I mean, how do they find out about the restaurant as far as, if they wanted to leave information about the restaurant? Say I had a great experience at Bob's Burgers or the burger next door. We'll use that.
Let's say the burger next door.
This is a great place to go.
Users can simply interact with the business. And this is another kind of thing that we're solving at Foodetective, is what we call fake reviews. On Foodetective, it's impossible to leave a fake review simply because every single, what we call detective, is either a journalist or an influencer or an Epicurean specialist in the restaurant industry that he's vetted by our team, which can leave review on the platform. So if you are a food detective and I'm a simple user, we'll have two different kind of logins, and your login will differ from mine, since you will have the possibility to write reviews, to write content, to create guides for people who use to Food Detective, in order to keep this kind of high trust when you look for restaurants on Food Detective.
Oh, I like that. So that you've got kind of, I would call them super users, maybe like your food detective. I don't know, super user. That's kind of what I think of. They're the ones, I mean, you've already vetted them, you know who they are, you trust them, and then they're going to be helping reach out to consumers too and give information and all of that, so that the people that are using the platform can see that. Did
Exactly,
I get that right? Okay.
Absolutely right.
Okay, well, what did we miss, Andrea? That's a lot, but I know you have a lot to your business. Are there certain modules that you'd like to highlight? Is there anything really cool and innovative that you're doing maybe a little differently with any of your modules, or that you're very proud of, that you'd like to tell us about?
More than the modules, I think that what we as a team at Food Detective try to do as much as we can is really to make this complicated process of managing a lot of tools very easy. So a lot of what we do comes from what I call design innovation, which is kind of rethinking the management of this tool, how you integrate them, how today integrating, for example, a delivery platform takes a single click and you don't have to do anything else. It's automatically connected to your menu online, so you don't have to re-put it, etc., etc. And I think this is what I'm really proud of, and I'm really proud of the entire team who works a lot in trying to improve these processes, and the two designers we have, which are fantastic in kind of making sure that the process is easy, but as even easier than what you can imagine.
Well, and that's hard to do. I mean, that whole experience, the user experience and the customer experience, it is front of mind right now, because as you know, there are a lot of options out there with technology in the food space, and you do have to go above and beyond to help yourself stand out. And I see a couple things with Food Detective. One is the fact that you're not replacing what they've already got. You're simply sitting on top of that and aggregating the data so that they can actually use it, or you can actually automate some of the processes that they used to have to manually get involved in. So that's a main one. And then what you're offering on your single platform, the single point of promotion, the easy customer experience when they want to order from the restaurant, just it all seems to go together. I know that was your initial brainchild and the problem that you saw in the very beginning that even got you started down this path. So I think you're on the right in the right direction for sure.
Thank you, Pam. Yeah, we try and we do everything we can to make this happen in the best way possible, and especially for our clients.
Yeah. And well, what is next for Food Detective? What is the future thought of how you want to grow or scale or expand? Can you share, or is it top secret?
I think I can share.
Okay.
Right now, it's really in improving all our processes, improving all our features, and make them always easier and kind of enable anyone to use it. Not only restaurants, but also bars, ghost kitchen, retailers, etc., etc. And now that we've done this, I think the natural next thing is expand into new markets. Mm-hmm. And to do that, we need to add additional integration. We need to work with these partners locally to kind of go and see the clients together. And so I think going into across Europe right now is one thing that we're very focused on. And the next natural thing that comes to my mind is expanding into the US market anytime soon, which I think the next step for Food Detective.
Yeah, that's all very exciting. And I know you have a great start on that with a really good working platform, which is, it's not just the idea, you actually have a working product. So that's so exciting to be able to expand on that. You have customers, just the credibility that you're going to be able to take forward, and you're open to learning and retooling as you go, just making it better and better is what I just heard you say. additional integrations, improving your processes. And just like you do for the restaurants, you're evaluating what they're doing. You keep evaluating what you're doing. So I think that's a healthy way to move forward. I wish you every success moving forward.
That's very, very kind of you. And thank you very much, Pam.
Well, thank you for being with us today on the Future Foodcast, Andrea.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Future Foodcast. Future Foodcast is powered by Farm to Plate, the leading food blockchain platform. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to stay up to date with the very latest innovations in the food industry.